Hello Year 9. Today I'm going to show you how to make ratatouille. This term we're going to be looking at our diets and how we can actually make them much healthier than possibly they are. So we're going to start by looking at how we can reduce the fat in our diet and the effect that too much fat has on us. So I'm going to use a variety of vegetables to make a French dish called ratatouille. And ratatouille is basically a tomatoey vegetable stew, and it can be served as an accompaniment to something like meat or fish, or you could use it as a base to make something like a lasagna, which is what I do quite a lot when I've got leftover ratatouille. So ingredients. First ingredient you need is a red onion, and when you prepare your onion, cut the top off and peel it, and you want to take off the outside layer of skin, but any other layer that is dry, right, because when you cook that will just be tough. So, and then make sure you always leave that end on. That's the root end, and that keeps your onion together. So what you need to do is slice down your onion and then slice your onion into fairly thin, even sized pieces. And they're going to go into a pan with some olive oil and some garlic. Right, so vegetables generally are low in fat. They only become fattening when we cook them. So we could make something like chips, or we could make roast potatoes or creamy mash, and we're increasing the fat content. But if we actually don't add very much fat and look at the way we actually cook our vegetables, we can reduce the fat quite considerably, keep it low fat. So next thing you need is 2 cloves of garlic. If you haven't got garlic or you don't like it, then don't worry. You could use garlic granules or the lazy garlic that you can get. You need about a teaspoon of that. Okay, so 2 cloves of garlic, and top and tail them. And then you need to chop it finely. So I'm going to show you 2 ways of doing this. Just get the skin off this one. If there's any part of your garlic that looks a bit dry, like that, cut that off. You don't want that. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a grater. This is the way I would normally grate my garlic. And I'm going to grate it straight into the pan. Okay, this sort of grater you'd use for grating parmesan, possibly when you have an Italian, or things like ginger if you're making a Thai curry, or so anything like that. So that's one way of doing it, and that's the easiest way. So it's really quick, really easy to do. The other way is to do it a little bit like you did your onion. So slice down, right? So if you remember cutting onions up in previous lessons, you've probably shown how to cut an onion. So you slice across and then across that way and then down. So basically that's what I've done, and I'm just slicing it in now, chopping it into small pieces. Okay, but actually I find the grating bit much easier, but it's entirely up to you what you do. So garlic has lots of health benefits. It's supposed to boost your immune system, helps towards having a healthy heart, etc. So that goes onto the heat now, and that will take about 5 minutes. But you don't want that to burn, so just keep an eye on it. I'm just going to pop a lid on the pan. Right, so then you need some other ingredients to make up your ratatouille. You always have a courgette. Now these vegetables that I'm using I have washed before, and all of these vegetables are really low in fat. They have quite a high water content. They contain very little carbohydrates, so they're actually low calorie. So cut the ends, top and tail your courgette, and then you're going to slice down. And try to keep the slices about the same thickness as you did your slices of red onion. If you wanted to, you could use a brown or a white onion. It's just a red onion has a little bit more of a mellow flavour. Okay, so I've probably got enough courgette there Just leave that. So put that to one side. The next ingredient I'm going to show you how to do is a pepper. So stand your pepper on its base and then cut down. And when you look at the pepper, no, don't. When you look at the pepper, you cut in, you can see the middle. Just cut round the middle so you keep all the seeds and all the white bit, which is quite bitter, on the stalk. And you've really only got, you don't waste anything. You've just got the base that you don't use and the top. And then just take the pith out and then just, you can either slice it or cube it. I like to cube it when I make ratatouille. So just cut each piece into 3 and then just cut it into equal size pieces and then just put that to one side. Now on the ingredients list that will be posted on Show My Homework, it doesn't mention my next ingredient, but I'm going to use it because traditionally it's used in ratatouille, and that's an aubergine. But if you don't like aubergine or you can't get hold of one because obviously ingredients are a little bit more difficult to get hold of at the moment, then don't worry. So slice the top off your aubergine. And I'm going to slice the very bottom off, and then I'm going to slice it into roughly the same sort of thickness as the courgette. And I'm probably only going to use half of this because I only want it to serve 2 people, but you probably would, you could use all of it. And then I'm just going to cut those into quarters. It depends on the size of your aubergine. You might want to cut them a little bit smaller. Okay, and then in those 5 minutes we've been doing that, my onions have cooked. So put a lid on them just to stop them burning. So now I'm going to add the rest of my ingredients to this. So you can see onions are nice and soft. The garlic has softened, but they haven't burnt. You need to be very, very careful because onions contain sugar, and if you cook it on a high heat, the sugar will caramelise. Now sometimes we want that, but in this instance we don't. So we add the rest of our vegetables, and then to that I'm going to add some passata, a carton of passata. You can get in a jar as well. This is sieved tomato, I prefer it, but if you want to, you can use a can of tomatoes. Put that in, and then I'm going to add some tomato puree, about a tablespoon, which I think there's probably just about that left in this tube. So squeeze that in. And then I'm going to add to that some herbs. Now traditionally you use herbs de Provence. So this dish is from the south of France, from a region called Provence. So if you've ever been to Nice or Cannes, then that's the region that this originates from. I haven't got any herbs de Provence, so I'm just going to use mixed herbs, and I'm going to use about a teaspoon. Okay. If you haven't got mixed herbs, you could just maybe use oregano and marjoram and maybe a little bit of rosemary chopped up. It's really up to you. Then that goes back on the heat, and it takes about 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, you've got your ratatouille. The only other thing you need to add, is some salt and some pepper. And then you just put that on the heat. And as I said, you cook it for about 10 minutes, and then after 10 minutes it's ready to serve. It goes really well with chicken or fish. And as I said before, I actually use this as a base to make a vegetable lasagna. So just make a cheese sauce, and then I just layer it, vegetables, pasta, cheese sauce, vegetables, pasta, cheese sauce. Or if you can't get hold of lasagna, you could use something like penne, and you could just mix it with the penne pasta, and you could put some cheese on the top, and then you've got a nice pasta, a vegetable pasta bake. So it's quite a versatile dish. So that now goes on the heat, as I said, for about 10 minutes. And then after 10 minutes, it's ready, as I said, to eat. So I'll post a photograph of it later, because you don't need to watch me stirring a ratatouille for 10 minutes. What I will do is I'll put a lid on it. When you put a lid on it, it does two things. One, it catches all the steam and that makes it cook quicker, but it also helps prevent burning because you don't want it to burn. So when that's actually cooked, that will be a really low fat accompaniment to some healthy foods that you can eat. Experts say that we should have on our plate about a third of it to a half should be vegetables. So you'll get two or three good servings out of what I've made today. So enjoy making it. Don't forget to post pictures so we can see how well you've done.